to The Pit Stop, the weekly NASCAR podcast designed to help you get to know drivers better off the track. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson. Rate and subscribe to Pit Stop with Desmond Johnson on iTunes. The show is also available on our podcast network at Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, Podbean, and much more. On today's show, we have the driver of the 00 Chevy Camaro for Starcom Racing, NASCAR Cup driver Quin Houff in the house. Quin, what's going on, man? How you doing, brother?
What's going on? I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. So the name of the game, for those that are new to the pit stop, basically we're going to pepper Quin with a series of questions to try to get to know him a little bit better. Some of his main fans may know the answers to some of these questions, but the goal is to try to get into Quin's head, so to speak, to try to figure out who he is as a driver. Quin, are you ready to rock and roll?
Absolutely.
All right, let's hit it. So question number one for Quin Houff. What career do you think you would have pursued if not one in NASCAR?
A career I probably would have pursued if racing didn't pan out for me would have probably actually been a diesel mechanic route or a mechanic route. I actually kind of grew up through the teenage years, through middle school and high school, working at the family trucking company and learned how to do mechanics just by on hand on site. And I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed turning wrenches, and that was kind of something I showed interest in and had been working there all the way up till last year, really. And even some through the pandemic this year, I went back and worked part-time to help out. But yeah, that's something I definitely had an interest in.
So, okay, so cool. So that you probably would have did still something on the mechanic end in terms of career-wise. So that kind of makes sense there. And now I have a question because I asked you this off the mic before we started, but many people may want to know that are just becoming acquainted with you. Pronounce for everyone out there how to pronounce your last name properly.
Yeah, my last name is Houff. It's like house with two F's. It's not Huff or whatever. It's Houff.
Houff. So how like house, but with two F's. I like that. So Quin Houff in the house, driver of the 00 Chevy Camaro here on the pit stop. Question number two, Quin, because I noticed that so you were born in 97, so you're in that pocket of the 2000s where you kind of grew up and a lot of stuff was going on in pop culture during that decade. Are you a Star Wars guy or a Harry Potter guy?
I would think I was probably a little bit more of a Star Wars guy. I dabbled in both, of course. I read the books for Harry Potter as requirement of some school reading, but definitely had a little more interest in the Star Wars side of things.
You know, it's crazy when I ask that question to drivers. The responses are all over the place, but if sometimes it feels like the younger the driver, the more they start to skew back towards Star Wars, which I love, and I think that maybe Disney Plus and some of this stuff that over the past 5 years in particular has kind of brought it back around, maybe because there hasn't been a new Harry Potter movie in a while. But there is a dedicated fan base for Harry Potter out there that I was not aware of that still exists. That's pretty adamant that it's the greatest franchise of all time. So definitely wanted to get you there. So Quin, definitely on the Star Wars side, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have 4 items, Quin. You have to say goodbye forever to one: pizza, tacos, cheeseburgers, chicken wings. Which one gets kicked to the curb forever for Quin?
That is one of the toughest questions I think I've heard in a while.
Well, that's what we do here. We give you with the tough questions here on the pit stop.
I think it's going to have to be tacos, to be honest with you.
Nice. I kind of lean that way too, because I can't. I'm kind of addicted to hot wings right now, so I can't see a world where I would not be allowed to eat them. And then
yeah, I'm a big wing guy. I love my buffalo wings, or going to Buffalo Wild Wings, or even trying any local wing place wherever I travel. I'm all about that. And pizza's always been a go-to. And I don't know. I mean, tacos is, I guess, easier to get rid of because you still have variations of Mexican food that you can eat. I mean, you could still do a burrito, right? That's not off the limit.
Yeah, that's not cheating. Yeah, that's still in there. With their wings, what's your favorite go-to wing flavor?
I'm into like the hot barbecue stuff right now. Sometimes some garlic flavors are pretty good. I generally don't go sweet. I generally try to go, mid-range or up. I'm not a crazy guy that like has to sign waivers or anything to eat his wings, but I definitely like the hotter stuff.
Yeah, I'm a garlic parm guy with a little bit of heat. I've started gravitating towards like Asian stuff, like Asian flavors,
Yeah.
stuff with like molasses and like bang bang sauce and things like that. Like I don't know why, but lately like teriyaki and stuff like that I've been kind of hitting up. But yeah, my go-to is garlic parm or lemon pepper with a little bit of heat on
Yeah,
them. And
I've had some good Asian flavors as well, and a unique one that I like that not a lot of people either know about or whatever is I like the salt and vinegar, like their dry seasoning sometimes. There's a
oh
salt and
yeah,
vinegar
yeah,
dry
yeah.
seasoning, and then there's also like an Old Bay. I can kind of go for like a Cajun kick wing every now and again.
Yeah, like the grilled wings, like with the Old Bay seasoning, or like the salt and vinegar, or like
Yep.
salt and pepper wings, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Just dry
Yeah, yeah.
patty. Yeah.
So, two men cut from the same cloth for sure. We could definitely sit down with a bowl of 50 wings and get after it. Outside of NASCAR, what is your favorite sport to watch and why?
My favorite sport to watch outside of racing is probably going to be football. I grew up in a pretty heavy football area up in Virginia and grew up playing Little League into JV into varsity before I took racing on full time as a career. But yeah, I've enjoyed college early on as a youngster, and I've almost grown to really like the professional side of things more now. And I don't know if that's because of more of the fantasy stuff or what, but I always like reverting back to college football and watching those guys play because there's just a different hunger at that level at the end of the day. But at the same time, I can really respect the talent that's at the pro level as well.
Who's your favorite college and pro football teams?
My favorite college football team is Virginia Tech. I grew up a Hokie. And then
Nice.
I grew up a Redskins fan, but I got really sick and tired of losing. So I went to the Falcons, and
I
I
love
haven't done too much better.
I love how you just kind of slid into that. I was kind of a Redskin fan, but
Well,
like you just kind of
I
reluctantly
was
admitted.
I was forced into it. I was in a Redskin family all through. Grew up wearing the
Oh,
little Redskin jerseys that got bought for me,
yeah.
etc. And I was a Clinton Portis guy, and then I don't know. It just players started coming in and out, and nothing ever helped. And I just got old enough. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for somebody else. And I just like the way the Falcons, the colors and the Falcon. And I was like, I'll just go to the Falcons. And it looked good for me. It looked good for me for a while. We went to the Super Bowl about a year or two after I started following them, and then after that, man, we've had a tough time.
Yeah, and for people that know me very well, I'm 42, and I grew up here in North Carolina, in the central part of North Carolina, and Kernersville, and this was Redskin country. Like when I grew up. My first team I can remember being a fan of was the Washington Redskins, like the '91 Redskins, the Joe Gibbs teams in the late '80s, and then somewhere around the early '90s, I switched to Dallas and was a Dallas
What?
fan because
Now
I know,
that's
right?
different.
It was
That's
Emmett Smith, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, because I was a fan of Michael Irvin in college because I love those Miami teams and I love Jimmy Johnson. So I kind of, I don't know, I just started following them because they were like the young up and coming team. But I will say, and people do know this for a fact, that once 1995 hit and I got the Carolina Panthers, I left the Cowboys and never looked back. So I'm not a Cowboy fan. I don't want you to think differently of me or or anything of
Yeah,
that sort.
no.
I am a Panther fan though. So definitely, with you being a Falcon fan, it's got to be my job going forward the rest of the season to convince you to come over from the dark side and join the Panther fan base here. It's closer to
Yeah,
home,
I can,
you know?
I can respect the Panthers, and my wife's from North Carolina, and she's kind of like you though. She likes the Panthers, but actually kind of grew up a Redskin fan as well. So it's just
Mhm.
kind of interesting. I guess it's because the Panthers is more of a new team and they haven't had a huge amount of success. But no, it's they're neutral to me. I don't see them as a division rival yet. They're not quite that high yet.
Yeah. And going on with the Redskin thing, of course, before the Panthers were even here, the Redskins were the 1 o'clock game, from DC down the eastern seaboard towards Atlanta,
Yeah,
Virginia, North Carolina, all of that. We all had the Redskin game at 1 o'clock unless they were playing and a national game of the week at 4, which is typically the Cowboys. So we grew up kind of watching Redskins at 1, Cowboys at 4. So it was kind of a natural progression, I guess, for me to latch on to one of those two teams. Plus, they were winning a lot, so I mean that helped a lot too. But yeah, definitely.
Like I told you, it was a force-fed thing.
Yeah. I do still remember those slick red Redskin jackets with the logo on the chest, like those like silky kind of red Redskin jackets. Yeah, those are classic. Yeah, for sure. So on the line with Quin Houff here, driver of the number 00 Chevy Camaro for Starcom Racing, the NASCAR Cup Series, here on the pit stop. Now, this is a question that I've asked that has started so many debates everywhere I've gone, every radio station I've worked at, every driver I've asked, every relative that I've brought this up to. Quin, what is the best flavor of Gatorade?
I want to say blue, but I have a variance of blue.
Wow,
it's the light blue.
I think you're like only one of maybe 2 people that have picked blue out of what, a billion different flavors there are. Typically, people go with your original lemon lime. Green, yellow Gatorade, I guess, but you're going to go with the blue. What is that? That's like a lightning something, or
it's called Glacier Freeze. It's
there
not
it is.
The dark one, it's the light blue one.
Glacier Freeze. Okay,
Glacier
so that
Freeze.
let me add that one to the list here because every time I get a random different answer on that question, and I never expected whoever gives me that answer there. Now this one is near and dear to my heart here, Quin. What was your favorite video game as a kid growing up?
Oh man, that's a tough one too. It would probably have to be like an EA Sports NASCAR, like Thunder, or like in the early 2000s, or probably any NCAA game. I played the crap of those.
The NCAA football game or the basketball one?
No, I can never get into basketball ones.
Yeah, those are hard for me to try to figure out how to play. And I'm old school. I come from like Nintendo 2 buttons. So like this other stuff that's out today scares the crap out of me in terms of how to try to figure out how to play it. But I thought I'd heard that NCAA football might be making a comeback. Because I know it hasn't been out there for a while. There's some lawsuits and stuff going on because, there's no names in it, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they kind of made a settlement where they're going to be able to use the likeness of players going forward. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you'll be able to go back and actually make Bo Jackson or Herschel Walker or whatever and play with them too. So definitely keep an eye on that if you're a fan of that video game franchise. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be coming back soon, better than ever. So good news for EA Sports fans or people that are fans of NCAA football for sure. And you had told me earlier you were a Virginia Tech fan. Could you see yourself playing with like Mike Vick or something like from the early 2000s or?
Oh yeah, see that was kind of the connection why I went to the Falcons too. Was Vic coming from Virginia Tech and stuff.
There it is. That makes sense. Yeah, I can't blame you for that.
That was definitely a really good game growing up, and as I got older and I was allowed to buy my own games, I'm now into more of the Call of Duty side of things, our first shooter game, and I got a lot of friends I get on there, and that's kind of our reality escape, especially these days. Just to get on there and have some fun with about 6 to even 12 people at once on there from high school on up through, current friends today.
Now, this is one question that I ask all drivers that appear on the pit stop. We try to mix up the other questions, but there's one question I always ask to every single driver because I'm a foodie. I'm curious about what people eat a lot. And I know, driving a 300-mile, 400-mile, 600-mile course over a Sunday, I assume by the time you get out of that car, it's been 4 hours, 5 hours you've been in that car, you haven't eaten anything. What is the go-to meal for you after you have had one of these long Saturday, Sunday races? What's the favorite meal that you look for after you're done? You're in the car, you're heading back home, you're about to sit down. What's that meal that you look for or crave the most after a long day at work?
Well, honestly, I hadn't had like a specific go-to after a race, and I'm almost ashamed to say this because like the past 3 or 4 races, I've ended up at a cookout.
Hey, that's not bad.
especially after a 500 lapper at Bristol or Martinsville, or a 500-mile race at Atlanta. It's just like, it's like, damn it, I deserve a cookout tray. I deserve a burger or a Cajun wrap or whatever I want.
What's the cookout tray order? Like when you get the cookout tray, what are you getting there? Or
I
are
think the
you a
last
mix it
time
up guy?
I kind of mix it up, but not really. I generally just get like the junior tray and just get one little cheeseburger and some fries, and then I'll order Cajun wrap on the side.
Okay. And the good thing is all that's like what, like $6 for like the trouble. Yeah.
You can get about anything there, but I was never a big cookout fan. We didn't have it growing up in Virginia where I was at, and then racing in North Carolina, everyone down there raved about it, and then my wife was really big about it, and I didn't even really know what a tray was, and that was a sin down there. So I've learned to love it. I definitely don't advise taking cookout and driving somewhere to eat it somewhere later. You have to eat that stuff like instantly.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like if you drive it a couple 10-15 minutes down the road, it's not going to be good later.
That is a very excellent point. And my wife, Jennifer, actually has that same rule with Taco Bell, that if you're going to order Taco Bell, you have to either eat it there or in the parking lot. Like you can't drive off with it.
You always think like, oh man, I'm gonna get this big party pack and go, be with a bunch of buddies, and you get there and you got all these like soggy, hard, soft taco shells that crumble, or like they're all soggy.
The whole party's ruined. It's like, it's all your fault, and it's like, man,
it's like,
and Taco Bell's like 5 minutes up the street.
I'm not drunk enough for this yet.
Right. Exactly. And Taco Bell and Cookout, coincidentally enough, those are kind of the go-to spots to go to at 2-3 in the morning after partying or whatever. So that makes sense.
That's the other thing, because for me, you get done with these races and you're looking at 11 to 2 a.m. and there's no options. So
right, you're right. Yeah, that's true. Now, do you cook? Do you cook yourself, or are you kind of an eating out kind of guy right now?
I mean, we cook for ourselves. I like to cook, and my wife likes to cook too, and we like to play around with certain things at home. But sometimes with the lifestyle, especially right now, it's kind of easier just to grab something on the go. But we'd like to go home every once in a while and have a nice home cooked meal or try something new.
So on the line with us, Quin Houff, the driver of the 00 Chevy Camaro for Starcom Racing here in the NASCAR Cup Series, joining us on the pit stop. Our final question of the day for you, Quin. If you could meet any celebrity, doesn't matter what field they're in, but any celebrity, who would it be and why?
That's a tough one too. I've just never been a real like gaga guy about any celebrity, to be honest with you.
It's a great quality to have, actually, to be honest. Not a lot of people have that.
Yeah, there's not one that I'm like standing out on the streets for, hoping to go, waiting hours for some. I'm not into all that. I'm not a real big follower of any.
But so like if you saw like Rihanna in like the frozen food section of Harris Teeter or something, are you the type that would go up and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Or are you the type that would just be like, "That's Rihanna over in the frozen food section"?
I'd probably just treat her like anybody else. If anything, I'd be the guy to ask her to sing like "Live Your Life" or something. Probably the T.I. song.
Which, I'm sure she wouldn't mind doing that in frozen foods. That's no problem. She probably gets that request all the time. So,
or you would just walk by her singing like "Umbrella" or something, just to see if she, because that's ultimately
join in.
Want, right? Yeah. Ultimately, what you really want with a celebrity like that is to like sing their song and then them sing with you. Like I feel like that would be the ultimate compliment.
I hadn't even thought about that approach before, but that actually might be the way to get in there. Maybe Drake should have tried that a couple years back here. So that, hey man, we really appreciate you joining us here on the pit stop. Let everyone know how they can follow you online on social media. And again, appreciate you for being here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And anybody can follow me online at quinhouff.com or starcomracing.com as well. They have all of our apparel needs up there that we're constantly adding to. We recently got some new hashtag Zoom stickers with the 00 for the O's in the middle, which is pretty cool. We've been sticker slapping those suckers about everywhere for my friends and my family already. And on Facebook at Quin Houff, on Twitter and Instagram at P1_Houff, and I'm also on TikTok. And I kind of have had some luck there. So drop me a follow there and a couple of likes. That'd be cool.
Fantastic. So Quin Houff, check them out each weekend. Well, actually more than this weekend. NASCAR, you guys are running a race every 2 or 3 days at this point. So you're kind of motoring through the season here. Congratulations on that, by the way, with NASCAR kind of being the flagship of the major sporting places where they're kind of figuring it out as they go and doing a fantastic job with it. And I think the other sporting leagues are going to follow suit based off of what NASCAR has been doing. So definitely congratulations to you and everyone in the Cup Series that have been participating in this and giving us much needed sports entertainment right now as we deal with coronavirus here in the United States.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's hats off to NASCAR and all the health officials they work with to make it happen. It was a definite opportunity for us as a sport to do it, and I'm glad that NASCAR saw that and utilized it. And they've done everything down to the dotted the I's and crossed the T's. I mean, nothing has been a bump in the road yet. I mean, it's been a lot, honestly, as an athlete or as a competitor to race this much, but the smooth process of these one-day shows, which is something NASCAR hasn't really ever done for the Cup Series, is going very well, and I look forward to it. And I'm glad that we gave some good product for everyone out there that was sick and tired of watching reruns on cable or Netflix or whatever. And I look forward to other sports getting back myself. I promise you that.
That's Quin Houff, driver of the 00 Chevy Camaro for Starcom Racing on the NASCAR Cup Series. You've been listening to The Pit Stop.